basic block will help you understand and create the basic pattern sets. The unit is planned to give you very clear step-by-step instruction to make the basic bodies. It starts with sizing details, preparing the dress forms, taking measurements and recording it properly. It then moves on the importance of the balance lines, some pattern basics like folding dots, perfecting seam lines by truing, notches and grain line and their importance, adding seam allowance and hem allowance to the pattern, and finally adding the labels to the pattern. This is followed by step-by-step instruction to draft the basic pattern sheet, which include basic bodice front, basic bodice back, basic skirt back and basic sleeve. Next, stitching and test fit is explained. Finally, completing the pattern with proper truing, adding cross marks, seam allowances and hem allowances to the basic bodies is explained in the demonstration. By end of this units, students will be able to identify the landmarks of the form, name the uses of the form, apply the changes to draft of the pattern, prepare the form and model with the appropriate marking and waist tape before taking measurements, name the basic pattern parts and their relationships to the pattern making. Follow the exact instruction when drafting patterns. This is the dress form. This is available in various sizes and shapes. What we are having is 8 size. These dress forms are made based on the size surveys and it represents the measurement and shape of majority of peoples. It has center lines, princess lines, waist tape, necklines, side seams, here are center lines, princess seams, and it is available in full length, half length and only waist level for lingeries. It is pinnable and it has a collapsible shoulder. It is pinnable, so you can use the pins to mark. You can use the straight pins to mark some point or series of pins. In this, by using the pin and satin tape, you can decide your style lines and mark. So I made a neckline like this. What are the designs you want, you can make it as a style line, and this from this you can take a measurement to make a basic draft patterns. Otherwise you can put fabric on top of it and you can make a draping pattern. A small adhesive tapes can be used to make the style lines. So we need not to pin it to make this. So like that you can create your style lines, and after that you can make a pattern in this, and it has a collapsible shoulder. So if you press both the shoulder together, it will collapse, so that it easy to put a garment inside. So once you put the garment, press again, it will expand. You can check the fitting. Some of the dress forms, it has adjustable knobs, so that you can adjust your waist, chest and hip levels. So it's easy to customize based on your customers. Now let's see some of the important landmarks in the dress forms. Landmarks are important to know the measurements, how to take the measurements and the technical names. Let's see some of the important landmarks in the dress forms. Landmarks are the points in the dress form from which landmarks are designated points in the dress forms. The neck and center front joint is called center front neck, center front waist, bust point, shoulder at neck, shoulder at armhole, side waist, armpit, armhole screw, armhole plate. If you make a horizontal line from armhole screw, mark on the armhole, and this point is called mid armhole front. From armhole screw, make a horizontal line and draw in the back armhole. This point is called mid armhole back. Center back neck, center back waist. These all designated points called landmarks in the bodies. Drafting method require accurate measurements. Record your measurements in a measurement chart. Prepare the dress form before measuring. Always use good quality tools to measure. Center front and center back should be perpendicular to the floor. Then only you can make horizontal balance line perfectly. For this you can use a thread with some weight at the bottom and keep it at the center back. And make sure you are getting a straight line. Now it has a deviation, so you have to adjust the height at the bottom of the dress form to make it correct. Use a thread with a weight at the bottom to check the perpendicular line. Make sure your upper bodies and lower bodies or center front line and center back line are in the straight line. So once you make this, then you can make your horizontal line, and the dress form should be stable, don't move. Next we have to make bust bridge. For this you have to take a fabric, muslin fabric. It measures 1.5 inch into 26 inches. First fold in the middle, then fold together. So make it 4 fold in the middle first, then fold again so that the raw edges goes inside, then other side also fold to the middle, then close it. So it will make 4 layer of muslin fabric. Fold together and keep on the bust level. It should go at least 1 inches extra at the side seam. Pin at the bust level. Don't press inside, it should come out, it should be straight, bust point to bust point, it should be straight. Then put a pin here. Then the side parallel to the floor should be on the bust level. Don't move like this, or don't go out, go up, don't go down. Should be exactly on the bust level, that is parallel to the floor. Do this other side also. Make sure this parallel to the floor and leave 1 inches from the side seam and trim the excess. And mark center front. This will give the thickness of foundation wear. Then check your waistband tape. A twill tape will be placed around the waist. Make sure it is in good condition, it is not damaged, and it is parallel to the floor. If necessary, you can replace the tape if it is damaged. Now we have to mark the pin heads in the dress form before measuring. Put one at shoulder tip, one at 3/8 inches below the center front neck, and mid-armhole front and mid-armhole back. Then one for armhole depth. For this US size 8, measure 3/4 inch below armhole plate. It will vary from size to size. If it is one size up, increase 1/8. If it is 10 sizes, then give 7/8. If it is 12, give 1 inches. Now we are going to make horizontal balance lines. I am going to make bust line. First measure your bust point from the floor level and mark. And same way measure from the floor and mark side seam. Measure from the floor and mark back and left side seam and left bust point. Then take a tape, this will make your bust line. So this is your horizontal balance line for front bodies. The same way we have to make horizontal balance line for waist and hip. Similar to the bust level, mark waist level. Waist is the narrowest part of the upper torso. Then measure the widest part of the lower torso and mark hip, and 3 inches from the waist level mark abdomen level. All the measurement should be parallel to the floor. Once you prepare the form and fixing the horizontal lines, we can start taking the measurements. Always use good quality tools to take the measurements. It's a good idea use the measurement charts. Record the measurement carefully. Take the measurement accurately, because drafting method required very accurate measurements. Circumference measurements has to be taken all around the body. Arc measurement is taken from center line from side seam. First you take the circumference measurements, then horizontal measurements, then vertical measurements. Circumference measurements bust circumference, measure on the bust line, keep one finger inside, should be parallel to the floor, and record the measurement. Then waist measurement, measure on waist, with one finger inside and record the measurement. Then abdominal measurements, place your tape exactly on the abdominal arc and mark the measurements. Hip measurement, place the tape on hip level, and record the measurement. Once you finish circumference measurement, then go for horizontal measurements. Across shoulder, you can measure front and back. Front across shoulder, measure from shoulder tip to center front neck. Across shoulder, it's measure from shoulder tip to center front neck. Then across chest, measure 1 inch above the mid-abdominal front, then measure to center front parallel to the floor. Bust arc, measure from side seam to center front parallel to the floor. Bust span, measure bust point to bust point, then divide into half. Otherwise, measure bust point to center front. Waist arc, measure sideways to center front waist. Then dot placement, measure the princess seam to center front waist. Then abdominal arc, measure side seam to center front on the abdominal line. Then hip arc, measure side seam to center front on the hip level. Then back, if you measure right side of the dress form, back also you have to measure on the right side. Don't measure front right side and back left side. Right and left is whereas right and left. This is the right side, left side of front. For back, this is the right side. Both front, this is the right side, back, this is the right side. This is left front, right front. See, I measured right side of the front. So back, I have to measure right side. Here, don't measure other side. Back neck, measure from center back neck to shoulder at neck on the curve line. Then across shoulder, center back neck to shoulder at armhole or shoulder tip. Then across back, measure center back to mid armhole back, straight line. Then bust arc, then back arc, measure center back to side seam on the bust level. Waist arc, measure center back waist to side waist on the waistline. Then dot placement, measure center back waist to the princess seam here. Then abdominal arc, center back to side seam on abdominal level. Hip arc, measure center back to side seam at the hip level. Then hip depth, measure waist to center back, waist to hip level at center back. Then vertical measurement, measure side length 3/4 down from there till side seam. Then shoulder length, measure shoulder at neck to shoulder tip. Then side hip depth, measure waist to hip line at side seam. Bust radius, measure from bust point to the under bust. From center front neck to waist, perpendicular is your center front length. Measure center front neck to waist, center front waist along the center front line. Full length, measure shoulder at neck to waist parallel to the center front. Shoulder slope, measure shoulder tip to center front waist along the bust line. Bust depth, measure shoulder tip to bust point. New strap measurement, measure shoulder at neck to side waist. Then back, center back length, center back neck to center back waist in the back level. Full length back, shoulder at neck to waist parallel to the center back. Strap measurement, shoulder tip to center back. New strap measurement from center back to side waist. Now we have to check the test fit. We made the bodies and skirt together. Then check dot placements are matching, side seams are matching, back dot placements both right and left, side seams matching together, and check the fitting. Check the horizontal balance line should match with dress form horizontal balance line, and ease at armhole should be even both the sides. Then across front ease, across back ease should be proper. That hip level everywhere from side, center back, center front should have a ease. Side seam of the skirt should match with the body. You should not go front or back. Then level of the bottom of the skirt should be parallel to the floor. There should not be any hiking. Then once all the fitting is coming perfectly, then you can go for the production pattern. If any alteration required, mark it and do the alteration in the pattern. Crease the line, make the curve, then cut the line. Fold the dot, then draw the straight line. Cut the pattern. And true if required, make a smooth line. Cut the waistline. Fold the center line, fold the bottom of the dot. Make a straight line. Then cut the center front line by closing the dot.